Hi, welcome back to another episode of Real-World Serverless. Today, I'm joined by Farrah Campbell, who is a good friend of mine, and she's a woman behind the Heroes program and the Community Builders program. So, Farrah, you are the head of the Modern Compute Communities program. I guess, shall we start by just talking about what is that and what does that consist of?
Yeah, well, hey, Jan, thank you so much for having me. Definitely glad to join the show. But yeah, my name is Farrah. So I have an amazing job where I get to work with the Amazon community. Specifically, my focus has been on, containers, serverless, the dev tooling, and now you'll see some of the new, like the next gen developer experience, services that we have been working on. So I'll also work on those. But really what my role is, I help to grow and highlight, maintain, the community, providing them resources, amplifying their voices, connecting them to service teams to make sure that, you all have the latest and greatest information. But, really, I think there's like really two, main functions of what I do. It's like gathering, information from the AWS community to inform, our go-to-market and product decisions, but also, to help to nurture and build the community so that, they can be successful in the communities that they are helping to manage or to engage or help to provide education.
Right, and one of the things that often get asked about, because I've been part of the Heroes program for a while, is just what is the Heroes program and how is it different from, say, the Community Builders program, and what's the process of how do you become a hero?
Okay, well, sure. I guess I can start with for the heroes. There isn't like a way to get started. It's not something that you can self-select into. It's not something that you can raise your hand and ask to be one. Really, to become an AWS hero. Again, there's no set way to become one. But what I can recommend is that folks that are out there that are taking it upon themselves to learn, to grow, and then to share the information that they learn, with others to try to help to unblock them. But it's really about helping other people. It's about being passionate, about about a specific ecosystem, and helping others. I think some people think that maybe it's like an objective task. So if I write 100 blog posts on AWS, then I'm going to be part of the become an AWS hero, and that's really not what it is. It's a secondary motion that happens after your people are out there helping others. I mean, I can think about how much content that you were writing at the early days of serverless, right? And all the talks and like code examples and answering questions online. That was all to the benefit of the community, and just trying to help to share information, with what you had learned. And so really, I think it's if that's the end goal, and the goal isn't, about, helping other people, is you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but there really isn't, like an objective task. It's, I say, if you're helping others and helping others to grow and unblocking people, then hopefully you'll get noticed. But that shouldn't be the only thing that you're achieving too.
Yeah,
Uh,
and that's very much what Danielle wrote in her recent blog post as well. She wrote something, a blog post, I think something like "How to Become an AWS Hero," which I think when I read that title, I was just a bit worried until I read it. And the first thing she said was, that's not the point. Becoming a hero is not the point. It's about helping others. The recognition would come if you are making a sound contribution to the community for the sake of the community, and not just for for yourself. People would recognize it, and eventually that recognition would come.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I will be honest, like I was surprised when I became one. Like, we were heroes together. And I really had no idea how I became one, and nobody even told me once I became one, what I had actually done. But again, yeah, I think you're right. Like it is all about helping others, and if you're doing it just for yourself, then it's probably for the wrong reasons. But we also have the Community Builders program too. So that was launched in October 2020. And that's really a way to recognize other folks that are participating in the AWS community, because there really is a high bar to become a hero. We wanted to provide opportunities to help to amplify others' voices, and to provide, more learning resources, to be able to, bring in their feedback as well. And you can, apply for that program. Unfortunately, you can only apply once a year, and that's at the beginning of the year. But if there's anybody listening to this right now, get your name on that wait list. And, you can always ping myself or others in the community to kind of share what, those folks have done, to become a part of the community builder program. It is, I think there's a lot more community builders too. I think there's 2,458 now and 155 countries. And then we have 255 heroes in 55 countries. So quite a lot more community builders than there are heroes.
Right.
How long have you been one?
Yeah, I think before. I think the Heroes program was just for communities. I guess community people that run, I guess community groups and things like that. And then I think 2018 they started a new categories, sort of more specialized heroes categories, and that's I was the first batch of the serverless heroes. I think me, Ben Cahill, and a few other people that's been, Jeremy Daly, I think as well. People that's been writing about AWS and serverless specifically for a while by then. So yeah, it's been there for a long time, and I've really enjoyed the program. What it has done for us, and personally, as for my career, it's been great. Especially me working as an independent, being able to say I'm an AWS hero, even though it's a program that recognizes community contribution, not necessarily technical competence. Because I know a lot of people who are very technically competent, they are not the Heroes program because they are contributing towards the company that they're working for, but not so much maybe sharing publicly. But having said that, the program has given me a lot of insight and also a lot of authority in the field, but a lot of insights into what's going on within the AWS different AWS teams. You particularly organize a lot of sessions that gives us the opportunity to see what's coming up from different services and also getting some feedback. And so those has been really, really helpful. So maybe can we maybe share a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes on these programs in terms of why should I bother becoming a community builder, and what are the perks of of the program?
Well, yeah, just like you said, that it's been beneficial to you, having your guys' feedback and being able to bring you in, or, to bring your voice in early on, product roadmaps. I mean, that's hugely beneficial to us as well, right? I mean, a lot of you folks are, running different workloads, things that maybe we're not visiting. And there's a lot of things with edge cases. So, being able to get feedback, early on, how we're shaping, specific services is highly, it is such a huge benefit and a win to our teams. I think you even participated in a couple of the, the UX the perception studies, and kind of clicking around in the console and trying to, tell us if this makes sense to you and what doesn't. But, it's really a benefit to us too, is that, to be able to get that feedback, from folks that are, using this, day to day. But I think, for what are the benefits? And I think for both of the programs, it's recognition and visibility. So, there's a lot of, we're definitely watching and trying to find ways to, share any type of content, share events, that the community is working on internally, and, sometimes that can lead to, talks at the summits or, talks that we have a community track also at, ReInvent. Can bring visibility to open source projects that folks are maintaining. Also having that exclusive access and support, so being able to come, to somebody directly at AWS that can get you in touch, with the service team to, to get you that information, or to kind of talk through whatever issues that, you're having, or there's also, access to, talking about what are different content ideas, or, finding ways to partner with other teams, or I've even helped, some of our community members to bring in specific service teams to their jobs, and to have them come, do like a team event internally or training. There's also I think one of the biggest is like the networking opportunities. So you get to connect with other experts from all over the world, right? So like you'll see that there's people that kind of come together globally that will create these projects. I think the one like Johannes and Danielle had worked on, and a few other community builders, was the like the speakers directory, and then you saw like Ralph and Luke last year, working on the AWS newsfeed that they had done. I know there's a little bit of an issue with that for a second, but you do have somebody internally that you can get to right away to help have those things, to have issues get fixed or just bring attention and awareness to them. Other benefits are invitations to exclusive events. So having specific meetups where we'll bring in other AWS internal teams, or just bring the community together at reInvent. And we also have, community lounges often at the summits. But I think too, also, it's like another benefit is like, you get like giving back to the community. So, you have like meaningful impact, on the AWS ecosystem, by sharing knowledge, mentoring and, contributing, your feedback. So like that actually, helps to grow the entire ecosystem. So I think those are probably the biggest that, I see. But I think, also like being part of it, you now have like friends from all over the world, right? You can reach out to, someone, if you're going to Singapore, there's a hero there, or there's a community member there. So, just having a friend in different locations can, I know that's been a huge benefit for me. I never had that before.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that we haven't touched on is the fact that there are heroes, and then I think there's community builders, Slack channels, and that's where you can also just engage with a lot of other people. That's part of the program. And I've had quite a few of the AWS teams sort of ping me on those Slack channels when they want to get some feedback on like stuff that they're doing with Cognito or verify permissions or whatever. So it becomes a channel that other teams within AWS is able to reach out to you and just directly communicate with you as well. Which I find that has been quite a nice thing. And for folks who are listening who are not aware of what Farrah was referring to earlier about the problem that they had with AWS News site. So when Luke was put together the AWS News unofficial news site, there was I think they received some legal messaging about, you can't do this because this is not official. And then, obviously, everyone was very sad when Luke has to turn it off. But then that's when I guess that's one thing that I think AWS has been really good at, is just listening to the community feedback and actually acting pretty quickly. For the company the size of AWS is pretty crazy how quickly they pivot. Another good example happened just I guess last couple of days. Someone wrote about he has got this bucket. Which is private, but then his bucket name happened to be just so unlucky, happened to be the name that some open source project was using as a placeholder. And then he found out that all the requests people are making, even though they're unauthorized, you still get charged for those for your against your own S3 bucket. So just super, super unlucky. But then he wrote a blog post about it. There's a lot of people saying, okay, this doesn't seem fair. We didn't do anything. We just happen to have a bucket that someone else is calling. We shouldn't get charged for that. And so it took maybe, I don't know, about 48 hours or less than that for Jeff Barr to basically chime in and say, yep, we agree. We looked at this. This is not fair. We shouldn't charge for unauthorized requests. We can look at how to fix this, even though it's something that's been there for the whole time. I guess it's the first time someone actually got really unlucky enough to get hit by something like this. But the point is that AWS for a company that size is really good at reacting to and responding to community feedback.
No, definitely. I was actually really like impressed to see that. And I didn't even know that could happen until I read that blog post. But even like with the issue before with, I think it was like the reInvent, the reInvent tracker, it was the thing with like Luke, but like, we can bring those things up internally, and then to have, Werner even, to like come back and, thank Luke and Ralph for, what they had done, and, apologize, in a public forum, it to me is like, it means something. And I often get pinged by service teams. They'll see like tweets, they'll see, content that's written, and they want to know more. So like they'll ask me, I think I've reached out to you a few times, for some of the content. So like people could like bring that feedback in. And I've always asked, I mean, like, they must have some like, RSS feed where they're kind of tracking all those things, because it's just so much content out there everywhere, to be able to capture all of that. But, that is one thing I really love about working at AWS, is that we really do care about like our customers and our community, and we are listening, right? Like we are constantly listening, and trying to do the right thing. But yeah, that was pretty cool to see Jeff like grab that within 48 hours. I was definitely surprised.
And you've been running, I guess, the communities for a long time. Even when you were at Stackery, I remember that's where you got really involved with a lot of the serverless communities activities. And so I guess you've been running communities for a while. And what have been some of the lessons you've learned about pros and cons? Well, I guess do's and don'ts when it comes to trying to build a community.
Let's see. I think some of it is just like, making assumptions about what people want to do. You know what I mean? You kind of think you understand, based on, what you see online, so I think taking time to really understand, what community members, how they're looking to participate, what they're comfortable with, what they're not, so you don't just try to like inundate people with just requests, right? You would think, sometimes I think we think that people love to speak and they want to be, on stage, but not everybody likes to, do that part. Some people are more like, I want to just manage and take care and contribute to these projects, or I'd rather just write content. I have no desire to, to be on stage. I think that is, I think also too, recognizing differences, right? Just because, how I behave and speak, here in the States is very, very different than, in the other ecosystems. And so, just trying to do more listening, I think too, is right. Like I do a lot of listening, and trying to understand the different needs of different individuals, and also different ecosystems, because those can vary, based on the work that people are trying to do. um, and then what else do I think, some of the things that like kind of been surprising? I think that actually too, sometimes like you kind of like, I love the communities and like the heroes, obviously. But I don't think, sometimes you have to explain to other teams, like, having to get their trust, and have, not everybody just trust people just because I do, so having to, to like earn, internal trust, and, basically kind of share the reasons why and the benefits of working with the community. That doesn't necessarily come natural to, everybody. So those are, I guess, a couple of them. Yeah.
Okay, and have you got some tips? Because obviously nowadays there's more and more people are are kind of building communities for their own communities, but also for their products. It becomes much more of the, I guess, the way that companies kind of build the ecosystem around them. And I've looked at things like SST. They've done a really good job of building this cohort of people that are really, really big fans of SST. Even though I'm probably not so much of a fan of Dax's and some of his shit posting on social media, but clearly it's kind of working. Do you have some suggestions for, in terms of, okay, if someone wants to, or a company now today wants to build a developer community, what are some of the things that they should be looking at, in terms of approaches, tools, whatever?
Yeah. I mean, like, I would say, I mean, like, I think there's like, you could break it down into like 4 steps. Well, there's probably more than 4 steps, but like the 4 that like stand out to me is like, you really want to create an environment, where people want to be, so you need to make sure that there's some fun, and also recognize that, everybody is unique. So the more that you lead with, happiness and, kindness, decency, empathy, the better off that the community, that you're, hoping to grow will be. Encouraging people to busy participate, and then, recognizing, members for doing so. Let's see, like promoting the actions of the community to others. So, making sure, like, I actually, have every day, I go through and look for, content, specifically if I'm tagged in it, to make sure that, I'm helping to share it more broadly, but also sharing internally just to, bring more eyes and ears to the, whatever the community is working on. And then I think the other one is like, investing in the community members so they stay, right? Like you can't just, start a community and not continue to participate actively. And so I think, showing up and not just expecting people to come to you. So, I'm going over to AWS Community Day in Nordics, like in Copenhagen. I'm headed to AWS Community Day and Istanbul, and I'll be doing the one in New York City. But really trying to, participate actively in their communities that they're also helping to serve as part of your, as you're bringing them into yours. I think those are really, really important. And then, you have to make sure that people have fun, right? Like it's, I don't know, shocker, but people like participating in places where they enjoy being there. So I think those are probably like my main call outs.
And have you ever had? I guess it's for whenever you have a community, there's always going to be sometimes there's people misbehaving and or people are not following some of the rules around the community. Have you got any tips on how to deal with those confrontations? Because most of us just want to avoid confrontations as much as possible. But if we don't do something about it, then it's just going to mean that more and more people that are not respecting others get away with it, and there's going to be more of that in your community.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem. I don't like conflict, but I don't mind sticking up for myself, and I don't mind sticking up for others. And I've had to do this, number of times. And I think too, sometimes, understanding, people's intent also matters. And so, like maybe the way I approach, a specific community member, if you can tell, like sometimes it's just a different vocabulary, or like, how people handle things and, process information. But also you can definitely see when people are, leaving others out, or, trying to push people out of the conversation. I mean, I will definitely handle that directly. I'm not going to do that in a public forum unless I've already talked to somebody privately, a number of times. But I've had multiple calls with folks in communities, in the communities that I've been a part of, even since Stackery. And I was even had to deal, with, kind of helping to, I guess, how do I even say this? But I think you remember, we had some issues at Stackery early on. So, we were kind of banished from the community, and then having to, to work to kind of become part of it again. So I think really it's kind of like dealing with it head on. I have no problem. So if there's anybody that's part of the AWS community that's been having issues with anybody, or has had a less than ideal experience at an event, like, please do not ever hesitate to reach out to me, because like I am definitely happy to take those head on. And unfortunately, they still happen, but I guess I would say fortunately, they don't happen every day, and nor do they happen every week. But I think at least I feel good that I think people trust me, and like trust if I come to them, like I'm not doing it just because I'm trying to cause an issue or I want to complain about something. It's because there's, really something behind this, and we want to make it better.
Yeah, I remember the incident you mentioned about what happened with Stackery, and also remember there was some incident that happened with SST and one of the conferences that they were trying to run as well, which I think you got dragged into.
Yep.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right that when someone does something that you think is wrong, you should speak out. There shouldn't be any problems with that. You should be tough and should be fair. But I guess one of the things I don't like about some of the sort of pushbacks is just it tends like this whole cancel culture is just silly. People can make mistakes, even well-intentioned ones. So okay, we point it out. We fix it. We move on. You shouldn't be punishing people more than they deserve. And yeah, so absolutely, I think I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of cancel culture either. You won't see me piling on any of those. I don't like to participate in those type of discussions. I don't think that's good for anybody. It's not helpful. But I think talking to somebody directly, and coming to somebody, and I think probably too, people are a lot more open to listening to your feedback if you're coming to me privately to say, hey, here's what I've heard, here's what I noticed, or here's how you made me feel. And I didn't appreciate it, and like telling them why, and that way you can kind of move past it. Because sometimes I think too, people didn't, sometimes it's a simple mistake. I mean, I think even, when I remember Jeremy Daly and I, when we planned that Serverless Days for Everyone party, and, I think he was getting all the thanks, and a couple of like people's, blog posts and call outs. And I was definitely just as much of a part of, organizing that as he was. And so I just reached out to the folks that were like, I felt like that were leaving me out, and just said, hey, this isn't a good look for the ecosystem as a whole, because everybody knows I was part of this and you're leaving me out specifically. And, it just slipped their mind. And so they actually came out and, did a public apology, which I didn't ask for, and it wasn't needed. I just wanted to make sure to do better like the next time. So I think, really kind of handling those things one-to-one is better for everyone.
Yeah, and also I think you mentioned there using the right vocabulary for those conversations, because I think especially when it comes to public, if you try to get someone to change their behavior, the worst thing you can do is to try to just call them out in public. It's just going to push them into defensive position. It's natural. We're all going to do that. If someone comes to me, accusing me of something that I didn't think I intentionally do wrong, and they make it a whole public thing, then of course, even if I know I'm kind of in the wrong, I'm going to try to stand up and defend myself. You're kind of pushing me into a corner. So people that try to name and shame people in public, it's not going to get you the kind of the response that you're looking for, and it's not going to be good for everybody either.
Well, let me know who's doing that to you, and I'll say something. Like, I don't appreciate that at all. And I think too, yeah, you're right. You're if you're getting called out in public, you're listening to defend. You're not listening for understanding, right? And I think one-to-one, you can be listening for understanding instead of. That's a very different, experience. If I'm listening to defend versus listening to understand, the outcome of this conversation is going to be very, very different.
Yeah, and you got a couple of talks. I'm going to see you in person in Istanbul in a couple of weeks, so really looking forward to that. And you've got
Can we just talk about for a second? This is like 5 years ago. We were like traveling all over. We were at so many different Serverless Days events. I remember it was Serverless Days Belfast. And
Belfast, that's it, yeah.
And we were looking for you, and we're like texting you to figure out where you were at. And then we turned a corner, and there you were coming out of the Apple store, because you had to I think you were getting a new computer or something that you forgot, but you just come out of the Apple store.
Yeah, that's it. I forgot my charger. That's it. I forgot my charger, and I was doing a talk the next day. So obviously my laptop was going to die. So I had to quickly go to the Apple store and get a charger. And I was looking for you guys. So as soon as, as I step out, turn around. Oh, there's Farrah and there's Jeremy. That was pretty amazing.
I thought that was awesome. It was just so cool, just because, I mean, we were just texting you and looked up and there you were.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. How small is Dublin? It was Belfast. It was Belfast.
Yeah, we took a picture in front of that fish.
That fish, yes, I remember that. That was a really good event as well. It was really well run.
It was, yeah. I missed the Serverless Days event. I'm hoping to get to at least a couple this year. Hopefully.
Yeah, they're back now. They just had I think Matt Lewis just announced the Cardiff one, and then there's one in the Milan soon as well. So yeah, I'm hoping to see more of them. I know there's a couple of ones also in Asia now. I think in India there's one. I think are there going to be one in the US somewhere as well?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know Milan. I knew about India, and I knew about, I think Japan definitely is doing the Serverless Days. Tokyo.
Okay, there's one in Auckland, Bengaluru, Belfast, Sydney. Okay, yeah, there's quite a few of them. And it's really, like to see more of the Serverless Days events as well. They were always some of my favorites. They're not the biggest industry events, but they are much more intimate. It feels people that are there, they're all interested in the serverless, and you're not just talking to someone who's there because the companies bought the tickets to a big tech conference. They actually because it's grassroots, it's affordable tickets, and it's all people that are actually interested in this stuff and want to talk about it and share their stories.
I've been waiting for one of the serverless days to have a Lambda 10th birthday party. I mean, because this year, this year is Lambda's 10th birthday. It's also ECS's 10th birthday, which is crazy. I didn't realize that they were, developed at the same time. But
I didn't realize ECS was 2014 as well. I know Lambda was 2014. I know Docker was officially 1.0, also 2014 as well. I didn't realize the ECS was also announced the same year.
Too. So Kubernetes is their 10th birthday this year. So Docker did something that everything else followed. The years followed because Kubernetes is I think it was like June, and then you have ECS and Lambda, which are both reInvent time, so in November.
Right. Yeah. Looking forward to that. I hope someone is going to throw a nice pig party, like the one that you and Jeremy threw a couple of years ago. That was a really nice one.
Yeah. Hint, hint. Who maybe the Believe in Serverless thinking about that. But it is my 10th birthday this year, so I definitely think it's something to celebrate. Maybe we can get Tim on the stage or somewhere to beat up another server, like I think he did at one of the Serverless Days events.
It was the Serverless Conf. I think it was the first Serverless Conf. I think it might have been in Australia. Yeah, I remember that I think he took a hammer or an axe and just used it to smash a server on stage.
That actually got to be kind of fun, but yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reInvent this year. I've been about 2 years since I last went. So looking forward to seeing everyone in person again. It's the one time of the year. Yeah, it's one time of the year that I see everybody because that's the one time where everybody's sort of in one place.
I love reInvent. There is nothing like it. You have folks from all over the world, that are a lot of people have been working on, products or features or whatever, that they are introducing at reInvent. You just have this people are just excited to see one another. I mean, I don't think there's anywhere else that I've ever been that you can, grab people from all over, that you can and then meet up with people that have similar interests as you. It is crazy. And I feel like I need to sleep for about a week after. And I usually walk about 68 miles in 6 days, which is crazy. But it is definitely my favorite time of year. Definitely my favorite event. I've always loved it. This will be my 8th reInvent this year, which is, yeah.
I guess also for you guys, you probably already started to prepare and organize things around now, right? Even though it's still about 6 months away.
In February, yeah, that's
really.
It is intense. Can I just say, it is so much more fun to go as a hero than it is as an employee. It is so much more fun, even just as an attendee. I think for newcomers, it might be really hard, But find somebody from the AWS community, if you're going in your first time to reInvent, reach out to somebody that's been there, so you have a friend and that can help to show you around, because it is exhausting, and even trying to figure out how to get out of the hotel or the casino can be a challenge at times. I think I've walked in circles a bunch of times, when I'm there. But yeah, and hopefully maybe I haven't seen you at a reInvent, and yeah, it's been 2 years. I think the last time
2 years
was in Amsterdam when I came over to.
That's right. Yeah.
When I was speaking there.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years. I'm really looking forward to going back there again. And like I said, it's crazy. Just getting out of the hotel is about half an hour walk. The hotels, everything just so massive over there, especially compared to what we used to over here in Europe. But it's crazy. It's amazing to actually be able to see, catch up with everyone. I think I've met Ben Cahill for the first time. I think a couple of years ago in person. I've been chatting with him forever on social media, but it's not every day that you can get to meet those guys in person. And Jeremy and everybody else as well. I think I met a lot of people, face to face for the first time at the reInvent a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember even having that breakfast that we had that was super early in the morning.
Yeah, all the Europeans were still waking up in the morning, waking up 4 o'clock in the morning, can't sleep.
Yeah, you have your Denny's breakfast at 4 a.m. But now you have Ben Kehoe, like he's part of your European team,
Yeah,
which is
yeah, he's in Germany now.
yeah. So what is your talk on? Actually, I don't think I told you what I was talking about at the community day.
Yeah,
Like
I saw your title, breaking down the business of communities and why I care. I was quite interested to get you to maybe show us tell us a little bit more about what you're going to be talking about.
yeah, so I was just going to talk about, how, communities, the feedback is not just, it's crucial for, businesses, but it's, good business for individuals too. Being part of a community can then provide invaluable like support, resources, opportunities for growth. Um, I mean, like my career, everything has come from, participating in communities. And I actually, when I was trying to break into tech, it wasn't until I started, volunteering at this conference before I was even looked at all. And this is after like a year of seeing applications, but I found, mentors, I had people there that were willing to, help encourage and, support me. But also, you find people that have like, you have like trust and belonging and, um, just again, like the support and the resources alone that you can find in different ecosystems is just, it can be really, really powerful. But also, we're looking at like what, can do for like a business. I'm going to grab some stats like that Salesforce had published. But people that are participated in the community, reporting like 80% improved, productivity, 80% increased adoption, 90% improved innovation, and they find that they're able to discover new solutions, via the community, on like, on a much easier basis. And so, really like, you get, better feedback, you get better insights into, what customers are looking for. You can get issues brought to your awareness, so you can act instead of, you could act on instead of having to react to something. But so yeah, that's kind of the gist of it is, how important the community has been to me, but also how I've been able to, prove the value of the community, to the business.
Right, and you just mentioned there in terms of you had so many struggles getting in breaking into tech. I guess I've never really heard your story about how you got into tech. Do you have any tips in terms of someone who's trying to get into tech now, and what are some of the things that they should try to do? And one of the things would be joining a community and participating. Any other tips?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously, actively, going to the events that you can. I think, being, using social media platforms. So like one of the things I did is actually when I came into the serverless ecosystem, I found the AWS Serverless Heroes and I followed all of you. And then I just started trying to become part of conversations. And a lot of what how I became part of that was really just actively sharing and trying to highlight the work that you were all doing because I didn't have anything to add. I think, once I did have information, I would share what I had learned. I think, looking to, do like 5-minute favors. So trying to find ways to, to help others, because then in turn that ends up helping you in the end, so I think that's, that pretty good tips. And I think too, just initiating conversations, right? Like starting a conversation with somebody, take that chance and just to go introduce yourself and, to get to know people and then, trying to follow up with them. It was great to meet you at this event. Here's something that I thought that we might be able to partner on, or I was looking to get more information here, just, I think kind of stepping out of your comfort zone, these and say like being active, and engaged in like maybe even open source projects that can also be a good opportunity to get involved if that's something that is interesting to you. But I do think it can be a little bit uncomfortable, right? So I think it's just kind of getting the courage to step outside of your comfort zone, and attending these events. And if you trying to find somebody else from the community if you're not comfortable doing so yourself. That's what I did in my very first serverless conf. I was going to go to this hackathon, but I was so nervous. And so I, I reached out to Forrest Brazil and I'm like, hey, you seem nice on Twitter. Would you be my friend when I show up? Because I'm not going to know anybody, and he's like, absolutely. So he met me at the door and, brought me in, and it made me feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, Forrest and Pete Sparsky are probably two of the nicest people, most gentle people I've ever met. Especially Pete, I love that guy. He's just such a gentleman. But yeah, I remember.
Smart. So smart.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? We had that Where's Pete shirt everybody was wearing.
Yeah, I wore that from my talk when I did the talk at ReInvent. So, and then I have a funny picture with him and I. He's standing there, but yeah, I think that became from an event where Rebecca had asked, "Where's Peter?" and he was standing right behind her. And it was, but yeah, it's so much fun to think about all these the history of how this all kind of came about. I feel like we have such it was such a great time, and it's cool that I love that I still get to, work with everybody just in a different capacity.
So I guess in that case, one last question I have is just what's your plan for going forward for the Heroes and the Community Builders program? Anything else that you have, I guess, in the horizon?
Well, I think that I'd love to be able to kind of scale some of the work that I've done. And I think that, I've developed a lot of great relationships internally, with the containers and serverless and the dev tooling team, but there is a lot more out there. Right. And so, teams like Cognito and, just verify permissions and just trying to think about, other services that are highly, that everybody's going to be utilizing a lot, and so starting to develop some trust there to, basically scale the work to be able to bring, a more broad scope to get you folks, or to bring a more broad amount of folks to be able to bring to you all to provide feedback to. Start to participate on. Maybe you guys are getting tired of talking to the Lambda team, which I'm just kidding. I don't think that's the truth, but I know that there's a lot more teams at AWS that I haven't interfaced with, and I think that a lot of them could benefit from the community feedback that I'm able to provide to the teams that I've been working with.
Yeah, and also nowadays, like you said, there's 2,000 people in the Builders program. There's 250 in the Heroes program. There's a lot of people that you need to kind of figure out who should be talking to whom. That's not a one-person job. That's something that needs a bit, I guess, more people involved from AWS perhaps than just yourself everything going through you. You become this tiny little funnel between all the different AWS teams and all the people in the communities.
Yeah, that's a little problematic too when I'm traveling a lot, because I do end up being a blocker at some point. But hopefully, I'll be able to help to kind of scale the work and share, what the lessons that I've learned, what's worked really well, and then also, what hasn't, and so we can, get better at this. But yeah, there's going to be something other than doing it than just me. That's for sure. But I don't know how I'll ever step away from this role. That's the thing, is I love what I do. I absolutely love it. And so it's, it's hard to think about a different role at AWS, just because I don't think I could ever not work with the community and be happy.
Well, I hope you keep doing this because we really enjoyed having you.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see you. Well, no, it's not. It's this month now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's this month in about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it as well.
I'm excited.
Well, Farrah, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. And like I said, it's been a pleasure working with you all these years, and hope to continue to keep working with you for a very, very long time. And look forward to seeing you in person in a couple of weeks' time.
Awesome, me too. And thank you so much for having me.
Take it easy. Okay, bye-bye.